Greetings, everyone. I hope you're excited and eager to learn today. Here's a thought-provoking question for you. Have you ever pondered how money came into existence or why the US dollar reigns as the world's leading currency? In this narrative, we'll embark on a fascinating journey through history, tracing the evolution of money. This is a true story, not a tale of fiction, detailing how humans transitioned from trading livestock and crops to using coins, paper notes, and ultimately the dominant dollar. We'll break it down step by step in clear, simple English, perfect for beginners and great for practicing your English listening skills. So, don't forget to subscribe, stay tuned, and join me on this incredible adventure. Let's travel back thousands of years. There was no currency, no coins, no paper bills, no banks, no credit cards. So how did people acquire goods or services? They didn't buy or sell, they traded. This method was known as the barter system. Let me clarify. Picture two individuals. One has wheat, the other has eggs. The wheat owner says, "I'll give you 6 kilos of wheat for 3 dozen eggs." The egg owner agrees, they shake hands, and the deal is sealed. That's bartering, exchanging goods or services directly without money. This system functioned for a time, but only to an extent. Initially, it worked because life was straightforward. However, challenges soon arose. The biggest issue was the double coincidence of wants. It's a fancy term, but its meaning is simple. Both parties had to want what the other offered at the same moment. If I have potatoes and you have cloth, but you don't want potatoes while I need cloth, no deal happens. There was no universal value standard. How many apples equal 1 goat? How much honey equals a pair of sandals? Everyone valued things differently, leading to confusion, disputes, and even conflicts. Saving wealth was another hurdle. If you had 100 kilos of barley, how would you store it? It could spoil, get eaten by pests, or be cumbersome to carry. As societies expanded into cities with rulers, temples, and artisans, bartering became too complex. People needed a better solution. Humans began searching for something universally accepted, valuable, portable, and usable anytime. This sparked the concept of money. Before coins, people used items everyone valued. In parts of Africa and Asia, cowrie shells served as currency. In Europe, salt, yes, actual salt, was used as money. In ancient India, grains, spices, and later bronze were common. Why these items? They were scarce, portable, and had agreed-upon value. But soon, something even better emerged: metals like gold, silver, and copper. Why metals? They're durable, don't decay like food, and have a natural luster that people admired. They could be melted, shaped, or even worn as ornaments. Most crucially, they could be weighed and divided. This led to a monumental shift. Around 600 BCE, in a region called Lydia, modern-day Turkey, King Alyattes introduced the first coins made from electrum, a blend of gold and silver. These coins bore a royal seal, guaranteeing their authenticity and fixed value. This innovation transformed the world. Coins were portable, countable, hard to counterfeit, and trusted because they came from a reliable authority. Soon, places like India, China, Greece, and Rome began minting their own coins. In India, coins were crafted from silver and copper, stamped with symbols of rulers. In Rome, soldiers received coins as payment. The term salary derives from salarium, meaning salt money for Roman soldiers. As empires expanded, so did their currencies. Coins traveled along trade routes like the Silk Road. Indian. Merchants carried silver coins to China, while Arab traders brought gold coins to Africa. Coins became the first global currency, a system that endured for centuries. Yet coins had drawbacks. They required precious metals, which weren't always abundant. Some rulers diluted coins with cheaper metals, eroding trust. Carrying large quantities was heavy and risky. Imagine a merchant lugging 15 kilos of silver from India to Persia, vulnerable to theft. Counting coins was time-consuming and slowed trade. People sought a better alternative. Let's journey to China during the Tang Dynasty, around the 7th century. China's vast empire buzzed with trade in tea, silk, and ceramics. To address the coin issue, merchants and officials experimented with promissory notes, simple papers promising a certain value, like "this note equals 20 coins, redeemable at the treasury." This was the dawn of paper money. By the Song dynasty in the 11th century, the Chinese government formalized this, issuing jiaozi, the world's first official paper currency. It was lightweight, convenient, and safer than coins. But how did people trust mere paper? The government ensured trust through 3 measures: backing notes with precious metals, exchangeable for silver or gold, using official seals to prevent fraud, and harshly punishing counterfeiters. This system boosted trade and enriched China, though it took centuries to spread globally. In the 13th century, European explorer Marco Polo visited China and was astonished to see paper used as money. He shared this with Europe, where people scoffed, unable to imagine paper replacing gold. But by the 17th century, Europe caught up. In London, goldsmiths began storing gold for clients, issuing receipts that promised, "You have 20 gold coins with me." These receipts soon functioned as money as people used them for purchases. Banks adopted this system, giving rise to banknotes. By the 19th century, countries widely adopted paper money, backed by the gold standard. Each note represented a fixed amount of gold, redeemable at banks. For instance, in the U.S., $1 equaled about 1.5 grams of gold. This system fostered trust and stabilized international trade. But a major disruption loomed. World War I, 1914-1918, strained economies. Countries printed excess money to fund armies and supplies, but lacked sufficient gold to back it. The gold standard collapsed, causing inflation and eroding trust in paper money. Prices soared. Bread could cost 100 times more in months. Post-war attempts to revive the gold standard failed during the Great Depression, 1930s, and World War II, 1939-1945. Amid this chaos, the United States emerged stronger. Its homeland was untouched by war. It amassed vast gold reserves, stored in places like Fort Knox, and it supplied goods to allies. By 1944, with World War II ongoing, 44 nations met in Bretton Woods, USA, to rebuild the global economy. They chose the U.S. dollar as the world's anchor currency, backed by gold, with other currencies pegged to it. At $35 per ounce of gold, the dollar became the global reserve currency. Countries held dollars in their banks, and trade, oil, gold, grain revolved around it. The dollar was now king. But challenges arose. In the 1960s and 70s, U.S. spending on the Vietnam War and domestic programs led to printing more dollars without increasing gold reserves. Other nations demanded gold for their dollars, straining U.S. supplies. In 1971, President Nixon ended gold convertibility in the Nixon shock. Dollars became fiat money, valued by government decree, not gold. Yet, the dollar retained dominance. Due to trust in the U.S. economy, its legal system, innovation, and military might. Global trade continued in dollars, and U.S. Treasury bonds remained a safe investment. No other currency, euro, yen, or yuan, matched its universal trust. The 1990s and 2000s ushered in digital banking. Money became numbers on screens. You could transfer 200 euros from France to Australia via apps like PayPal or bank platforms in seconds. Debit and credit cards replaced cash in stores, and mobile wallets like Apple Pay enabled instant payments. Money was now data, controlled by banks and governments. Then came the 2008 financial crisis. Bank failures and frozen savings eroded public trust. The U.S. printed billions to bail out firms, sparking anger. An anonymous figure, Satoshi Nakamoto, introduced Bitcoin, a decentralized digital currency with no bank or government control, capped at 21 million units. Built on blockchain, it ensured transparent, tamper-proof transactions. Ethereum, Tether, and other cryptocurrencies followed, promising financial freedom. Governments, however, saw risks like tax evasion and crime, leading to bans in some nations. Still, the crypto revolution was unstoppable. The US dollar also became a geopolitical tool. Through SWIFT, a global banking network, the US could isolate countries like Iran or Russia by cutting their access to dollar-based trade, crashing their economies. This dollar weaponization spurred de-dollarization efforts. China and Russia traded in yuan and rubles. BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, explored a new currency, and Saudi Arabia began accepting yuan for oil, challenging the petrodollar system. Countries like India pushed rupee-based trade, and central bank digital currencies, e.g. China's yuan, emerged as alternatives. Despite these shifts, the dollar remains supreme. Why? Trust in U.S. stability, widespread use in trade, and lack of viable alternatives. The euro faces political hurdles, the yuan is tightly controlled, and crypto is volatile. Even dollar critics use it covertly. The world is now in a silent financial battle. The U.S. and its allies wield the dollar, SWIFT, and institutions like the IMF. BRICS nations push alternative systems, while crypto advocates seek a bank-free future. The outcome is uncertain, but money's future is evolving rapidly. How does this impact you, a student in Nigeria, a shopkeeper in Mexico, a teacher in Japan, or a farmer in India? The dollar's value affects your food, fuel, and job. A stronger dollar weakens other currencies, raising import costs. In Kenya, a stronger dollar means pricier fuel, food, and electronics. Printing more local currency fuels inflate